Good day, everyone. In our previous lesson, we learned how to determine and apply appropriate metric units for different quantities. Today, we will build on that knowledge by learning how to convert measurements within the same measurement system. Let's begin with a simple example. We know that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. These two measurements use different units, but they represent exactly the same length. So here's the question: how can we express a measurement using a different unit without changing the actual quantity? That's what unit conversion allows us to do: same quantity, different unit. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify relationships among units within the same measurement system and use appropriate conversion factors. You should also be able to convert units of length, mass, and capacity within the metric system, convert common units within the English or US customary system, and apply these conversions in real-life situations. Let's first understand what unit conversion means. Unit conversion is expressing the same measurement using a different unit. For example, 1 meter is 100 centimeters, 2 meters is 200 centimeters, and 5 meters is 500 centimeters. Notice that the actual length does not change. Only the unit we use to express that length changes. So remember this key idea: conversion changes the unit, not the actual measurement. To convert measurements, we need conversion factors. A conversion factor shows the relationship between two equivalent units. In the metric system, for example, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams, and 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. In the English or US customary system, 1 foot equals 12 inches, 1 yard equals 3 feet, and 1 pound equals 16 ounces. We use these relationships to change one unit into another while keeping the measurement equivalent. Let's begin with length. Remember these common relationships. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. And 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. Here's a simple guide. When converting from a larger unit to a smaller unit, multiply. When converting from a smaller unit to a larger unit, divide. For example, meters to centimeters means going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so we multiply. Centimeters to meters means going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, so we divide. Let's apply that rule. Convert 3.5 meters to centimeters. We know that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. Since we're converting from a larger unit, meters, to a smaller unit, centimeters, we multiply. 3.5 times 100 equals 350. Therefore, 3.5 meters equals 350 centimeters. Now let's move to mass. Remember these relationships. 1 ton equals 1,000 kilograms. 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. And 1 gram equals 1,000 milligrams. The same general rule applies. From a larger unit to a smaller unit, multiply. From a smaller unit to a larger unit, divide. Let's try an example. Convert 2.75 kilograms to grams. We know that 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. Kilograms are larger than grams, so we multiply. 2.75 times 1,000 equals 2,750. Therefore, 2.75 kilograms equals 2,750 grams. Next is capacity. Two useful relationships are 1 kiloliter equals 1,000 liters, and 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. Suppose we want to convert 4.5 liters to milliliters. Since we're converting to a smaller unit, multiply by 1,000. 4.5 times 1,000 equals 4,500. Therefore, 4.5 liters equals 4,500 milliliters. Now let's look at the English or US customary system. Unlike the metric system, its conversion factors are not consistently based on powers of 10. This means we need to know the appropriate relationship between the units. For length, 12 inches equal 1 foot, 3 feet equal 1 yard, and 1,760 yards equal 1 mile. For weight, 16 ounces equal 1 pound, and 2,000 pounds equal 1 ton. For capacity, 2 cups equal 1 pint, 2 pints equal 1 quart, and 4 quarts equal 1 gallon. These are still same system conversions because we're converting from one English or US customary unit to another. Let's look at an example. Convert 8 feet to inches. We know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. So we multiply 8 by 12. 8 times 12 equals 96. Therefore, 8 feet equals 96 inches. Now let's convert 3 gallons to quarts. We know that 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. So, 3 times 4 equals 12. Therefore, 3 gallons equals 12 quarts. Let's review the key concepts we learned. First, unit conversion expresses the same quantity using a different unit. Second, a conversion factor relates two equivalent measurements. When converting from a larger unit to a smaller unit, multiply by the appropriate conversion factor. And when converting from a smaller unit to a larger unit, divide by the appropriate conversion factor. We also learned that metric measurements can be converted within the metric system, while English or US customary measurements can be converted within the same system. And one important reminder, always include the correct unit in your final answer. Before we end, reflect on this question. Why is it useful to express the same measurement in different units within the same measurement system? Think about situations at home, in school, at work, or in everyday transactions where converting one unit to another might be useful. That concludes our lesson on converting measurements within the same system. In our next lesson, we'll take this one step further by learning how to convert measurements between different measurement systems. Thank you for participating, and I'll see you in our next lesson.